It's good to see you all, GM. Fantastic to have you all here again. And I hope you're super excited for today's workshop. I am inviting our speaker, Jackie, to the stage. Jackie is from Dune Analytics, and today's workshop is all about teaching you how to build an AVS Explorer with Dune API. Jackie, do you want to introduce yourself again and kind of talk about what we're doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Jackie. I work as developer relations for Dune. So for those of who are not familiar with Dune, Dune is a crypto data platform. We're also a community data platform. So together with our community, you can do anything with on-chain data, a lot of times even off-chain data with Dune. So today, this workshop is specifically to talk about how do you leverage the Dune EigenLayer API. So for this workshop, I prepared a quick demo repo on how to build a AVS Explorer. So basically a front-end application with our EigenLayer API. However, after this workshop, really the imagination is your limit. Go build something creative with the EigenLayer API in this hackathon. I'm very excited to see what comes out from it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the intro. If you're ready, feel free to share your slides, and to everyone in the audience as well. I actually have the slides that I can give you. So if you guys want to follow along with those slides, here they are. Hopefully you can see that pop up on your screen. And awesome. Yeah, sorry, Jackie, the stage is now yours.
All right. Thanks, Angela. Yes, so we already did the quick intro. Okay, so for today's agenda, I think I'm the first workshop person on the 7-week-long EigenLayer Hackathon, so I thought it would be good to set the stage up. So let's first talk about the EigenLayer in general and the landscape, the players in this ecosystem, and then we'll go into talk about the Dune API landscape in general, and then we'll go into code walkthrough on how exactly to integrate with the Dune API. Lastly, we'll quickly touch on how to leverage the existing Dune data insights that's already on Dune. Although we have a dedicated Q&A at the end, I really want this session to be interactive today. So if you have any questions, thoughts, doubts, just put them in the chat. I'll try to monitor it. And I think Angela will also help me monitor the chats to let me know any questions. Yeah, okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So, EigenLayer Landscape. Whenever you talk about a new thing, a concept, I think it's important to establish the reason why. Why do you need this new thing? So EigenLayer, as we know, is a restaking protocol. And the mantra of the EigenLayer restaking protocol is to make building infrastructure easier. So what exactly does that mean, right? It's like a mouthful when you think about it. So assuming you are already familiar with the proof of stake concept, with the how Ethereum is working, right? So with that model, whenever you need to build a decentralized infrastructure, a decentralized protocol, whatnot, you need to make sure that the people who are validating the blocks, who are like running the show, is being honest. So they need to have some sort of economic security that are involved in the system, right? So before the EigenLayer world, when these new decentralized infrastructure gets propped up, what they need to do is they need to go after the stakers with the assets to stake, like one by one, be like, hey, will you provide me with economic security for my new infra? So that is pretty inefficient, and it's really difficult because when you ask people to put their money down, it's like a very difficult situation. So with the EigenLayer as a restaking protocol that is in between, now you can pull together all the assets, right? Whether that's like, native ETH or liquid staking token from Lido, whatnot, you can pull together those economic security. And then basically you allow these new AVSs to kind of start borrowing your economic security. So they have this shared security from the EigenLayer protocol. So essentially it will make them propping up a new decentralized infrastructure much, much easier. Okay, so that's why we need to have a EigenLayer or a restaking protocol. So with that aside, I see somebody asked, what does AVS stand for? Again, AVS stands for Actively Validated Service. Great question. And like, I think a few months ago, I was at December and I'm like, what does this actually mean? It was so confusing. So definitely like a lot to digest here. So going off of the, from why we need EigenLayer to what are the, I guess, the players in this ecosystem. So we talked about stakers. So those are people like you and me who have some assets and we're willing to stake and maybe earn some yield by locking up our assets. So us as stakers, we will stake to a particular operator. So those are the operators that are registered on the EigenLayer protocol. And then the operators can then choose to register with an AVS, an actively validated service. So these are the new infra, the decentralized infra that we were talking about before, right? It's so they are borrowing the economic security from this pooled security. So the way they do it is from the operators that they accept as to be registered with them. And then once you prop up a new decentralized infra like an AVS, and the AVS can then play a role into building the next roll up, right? So an example that we all know is EigenDA as a AVS. So EigenDA is able to use the pooled security to launch their own data availability service. And then the data availability service can then be used to build other rollups as part of their, DA layer in their rollup. Okay, so, before I go to next slide, somebody is asking how many operators per AVS. It really just depends. An AVS can have their own role to see to determine how can an operator be registered with an AVS. So one operator can be registered to multiple AVS, and then I don't know if there's an upper limit to how many operators can accept, but like in essence, there can be quite a few. And this is exactly the data that we're going to read from on-chain. Okay, so I feel like I flew by that really fast. So just quickly recap on the parties in the EigenLayer ecosystem. So we've got stakers, you and me, who are staking our assets toward the operators, who then help us operate the staked assets. So they can register with AVSs who utilize the staked shared security to start doing creative things to end consumers. And in this event, data that we can see on chain are whenever a staker stake their assets, they're essentially transferring their assets from themselves to someone else, right? So you can see that transfer event happening. When an operator becomes an operator with EigenLayer protocol, they also emit an event broadcasting to the world, hey, like I've registered to be an operator on EigenLayer, so you can also see that event on chain. Similarly with AVSs, you can see that registration happening. So a lot of stats that we are going to be able to pull, or you're able to start pulling from the Dune API, is from these on-chain events. You can see who the operators are, even their logos, their descriptions, their Twitter handle, and then you can see who the AVSs are out there. And then by aggregating these on-chain events, we're able to see, the total value locked in each of these operators were AVSs. You can see how many stakers or operators are they decided to play with this, decided to support this AVS. So lots of fun metrics that you can do from there. All right. Okay, so that was the first part on giving a landscape of EigenLayer. Now going on to the next part, which is the Dune API. So in this part, really just want to equip everybody who's participating in this hackathon with the knowledge on, what exactly is the Dune API, how can you start utilizing the Dune API or the EigenLayer API for this particular hackathon. So conceptually, you can think about the Dune API to have two sets of endpoints. I want to cover the conceptual knowledge first, and then we can use Postman to kind of see live action, like how these two kind of endpoints are different. So the first type of endpoints are the preset endpoints. And if you were familiar with Dune from before, you might be thinking, hey, isn't Dune like analytics? Don't you need to have SQL knowledge to, start doing Dune stuff? no, that is not true. So with these preset endpoints, we've curated a set of endpoints for you. So it would look like something like this, EigenLayer / operator to AVS mapping. So with these preset endpoints, you can start consuming the data directly without any SQL needed. Okay, so that is the preset endpoints. And then for this hackathon, we prepared, I think, 5 preset endpoints that you can start leveraging. We can walk them through together later as well. Okay, so on to the second set, which is the SQL endpoints. So this is much more flexible. That's the pro. And the con is you do actually need to have the SQL query powering these endpoints. So all you do is you grab the SQL query ID and then you put it in, and then you're able to get the results back. Okay, so there's the preset, no SQL needed. You can start consuming the data immediately. And then there is the SQL endpoints, which requires a SQL query. And then you plug in the ID, and then it's also plug and play, but you do need to have SQL knowledge. So let's dive into an example of, I can't type. Let's go here. Yes, oh, I guess I have to exit out. Okay, here we go, perfect. Okay, let's see. Maybe, okay, let's just start with the operator AVS mapping that I have here. So this endpoint, what it does is it grabs a mapping of which operators are registered with which AVS, right? So that relationship we were talking about before. And as I was saying, one operator can register with multiple AVS, and then AVS can obviously have multiple operators. So that is the relationship. So here I'm just calling the Dune API, v1, EigenLayer operator. And then just for our demo purpose, I'm pulling only 10 records at a time. So click send. I hope you can see. I hope this is like big enough. Yeah, I
think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Some people are also asking if this code is available. Is it on GitHub?
Code is available. I guess what code is available? The EigenLayer API itself is like the documentation is all available on our docs.dune.com. And then if you're more asking the front-end code, yes, it is also available. I will share them as we go to the slides.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Cool. Okay, so going back to the operator to AVS mapping. Okay, so we've just ran the endpoints and we get the results back. So here you can see this row contains this particular operator address, which is puffer841, who've just registered, right? Today is May 15th. Yeah, May 15th. On May 15th, puffer A41 registered with Automata Multi-Prover AVS. So that's a mapping that you will get. So I told it to grab me 10 rows. So it just gives me 10 rows of the mapping. And then there's also the next URI. So this is how you can go to the next page for pagination purpose. And then while we're at it, I also want to showcase one other thing. So you can filter on top of these endpoints, just like any other API endpoint. So you could do a filter. And let's say that I only want AVS operator to AVS mapping pertaining to this particular AVS. So I will say AVS equals to this, and then let's do a send. And voila, you can see, I wish you can like pull this back, but you can't pull this back. Okay, as you can see, then all the operator to AVS mapping are pertaining to Automata instead of all the other 11 ones. So yeah, so that is a preset endpoint, a preset Dune API endpoint that you can start utilizing. Okay, so then next up, let's talk about the SQL endpoint, right? So I was talking on the other side that with a SQL endpoint, you just plug and play with a particular query ID. So for this purpose, let's just search up for a query on Dune, I guess, to stay with our theme on restaking. I will just pull one of these. I'll just pull this a chart. So let's say that this is the data set that I won from, doing data manipulation with SQL query. I have the query ready. So then here I try to get the query ID. I copy, and then I go back to my Postman, wherever I want to leverage this. I update the query ID. I'm going to save it to make sure. Okay, so then going back to here. Okay, so let me pull up. So now we can see that we get the cumulative TVL ETH for this particular token, CS ETH. And then we can see basically the data table that we saw on the other side. We are able to now start pulling the same data set on the Dune API side. So to recap, there are two kind of conceptually endpoints on Dune. One is the preset one, and it looks like this, where it has a predefined URL that you can start pulling the data from, and then you can read the documentation on exactly what data sets it would provide you. And then on the other hand, we've got the SQL API, which is powered by any SQL query that you either made, where you can see on Dune, and then you just copy paste the query ID onto this, get results API, and then you just plug that in, and then you're able to get the results. And similarly, this also support pagination, filtering, sort by, a lot of other cool features that the preset endpoints also supports. Okay, I will take a pause here before I go on to the next section, because I see the chat's being quite active.
Great. Yeah, I think you've answered Druga's previous question about credits, so I think that's okay. There was one further up from Scoffy talking about ideally, where are we looking to use these APIs for this bounty specifically? Do we use them on a front end or to make Dune dashboards?
Got it. I think we haven't officially announced the bounty yet, but just to hint at it, it will be the most creative usage of the Dune API itself. So not building the dashboard themselves, but rather to use the Dune API. And that can be either the preset API, like these 5 EigenLayer endpoints that we curated for you. It could also be other SQL endpoints that you've curated for yourself. But the end goal is, as long as you incorporate the Dune API in your front-end application or some sort of middleware that you want to build, anything, really imagination is your limit, we'll consider it.
Awesome. That's so cool. Thank you. Yeah. And also, it's a gift to everyone who is here live. You get a little bit of alpha before the official announcements later. So please do pay attention to this workshop and make sure that you've got all of the information that you need to think up some cool ideas. Awesome. I think Druga's got another question next. What are the advantages of working through the API versus getting them on Dune?
Yes. I'm assuming this means what are the advantage of preset API versus the SQL API. Working with that assumption, the preset API are directly consumable. You don't need to write any SQL, right? So from here, you can see, I want to grab the AVS metadata. You just literally call this endpoint and get the results back, versus some of the SQL endpoints, you need to know SQL more or less, and then you are pulling the data from a SQL query directly. Hopefully that made sense. Let me know if it didn't. Okay. And then I see a question about, are the API results real-time or there is a time lag? Interesting question, because it would be interesting to define, the what does real-time mean? So these API endpoints are put on behind the scene. They are put on I believe, a 15-minute scheduler. So as long as the blocks are finalized within 15 minutes, these API data would be updated. And then if you're more curious about on the results fetching side of things, it's pretty fast. It's like less than a second, like I think a couple 100 milliseconds. We can see on the demo app later too. It's pretty fast. And then does it work for EigenDA? We do not currently have EigenDA data on Dune, so we don't have that yet. Hopefully one day we'll work to onboard them. And actually, I had another thing I wanted to say. So jumping onto my soapbox, I think one of the beautiful things about Web3, or this decentralized space we're in, is the openness and the composability. We're able to build on top of each other. So I'm really excited to, because EigenLayer as an ecosystem is still so early in its days. I'm really excited to work together with devs, with data people out there to start building this standardized metrics landscape for EigenLayer in general. So sometimes, with an AVS, with an operator, a lot of the metrics are actually not sent on chain, so you cannot really see it on chain, and then different people are doing different things. I know that EigenLayer themselves are working to standardize the AVS metrics by providing some toolkit. So I'm just really excited to advance the ecosystem together with everybody in this open space. Okay, off my soapbox. Okay, so I will answer some of the more technical questions on rate limits later. So I will try to move on to the third part, and then we can circle back to some of the questions. Okay, so this is the part where we go into the repo to see how exactly the Dune API can be incorporated. So let me just drop this link in the chat in case anybody want to take a look there yourself. Okay, so let me do this. And before we go into the code dive, I thought it would be nice to see what exactly the code build for people to get a conceptual idea, and then we can then walk through the code itself. So the demo repo just built an AVS Explorer, essentially a front end exploring all the information about AVSs. So here we can see EigenDA is an AVS, and its logo, and then some description about it. You can go to the Twitter for the EigenDA, and then you can see associated statistics with this particular AVS. So here there are currently 208 operators with this EigenDA. This is how many value it's secured, and then currently there's about 110,000 stakers with this AVS. And then there's one more page where once you click into the number of operators, it then will show you, hey, these are the operators associated with the EigenDA AVS. And then again, you can start exploring the metadata related to this operator. You can start to see the TVL, current number of stakers, the time that they registered with this particular AVS. So pretty simple front end. I'm no front-end developer. If I had the skill, I think the sky was the limit. I don't know if you guys know the Once Upon Explorer. So like in my head, I'm like, we could do such cool things where you have this entry of the AVS, and you can start clicking, the operators, and then how many stakers are with these operators, and how does the staker behave on chain, and then we can even connect it with like Farcaster, and then just see the social activity as well. So there's a lot more you could do. For this simple demo, we have 2 pages, or you can see the AVS data in general, and then you can zone in on a particular AVS's operator and see more statistics for it. So that is our AVS Explorer. So this is the repo associated with it. So how I built this simple front end is just start a Next.js front-end applications by using their simplest command. And then we incorporate it in the Dune EigenLayer API itself to powering the data. So all the data you see on the table is powered through the Dune EigenLayer API. So let me then go to the code itself. Let me move this quickly. Okay. Okay, so I'm not gonna focus too much on the front end pages, like how, the HTML, like the JS that prop up the front end, because that's out of scope for this workshop. I'm gonna focus more on exactly how do you integrate the Dune API into this simple front end. So first off, we've got a Dune.ts page. And then here, the very first thing you should know is that you need to authenticate to use our API, right? So here I am just passing in the API key for Dune. And then if you go to the repo itself, you can see you can simply just put your API that you generated on Dune.com, and then you just put that into a .env file, and then you are ready to go. And then for this front end app purpose, I'm also doing a handler so that just to make sure the context of the API key is not lost when you talk from the front end of the server. So we have this simple handler. And then as you can see, I basically define a base URL. We were just talking about this on the other side. There are 5 EigenLayer API endpoints that you can start leveraging, and they all start with the prefix that I am highlighting here. I'm gonna make this slightly bigger. Hopefully it makes it easier to see. Okay, so that's the setup for the Dune API. And I think it would be helpful to walk through one scenario. So on the app side, can I pull it back? Okay, so on the front end itself, let's go back there. Okay, so this is the landing page, right? And then here for a particular AVS, we're grabbing information such as the metadata information, the logo, the name, the description, Twitter, website. So those are the metadata information for this particular AVS. And then at the same time, we are also grabbing the metrics that are relevant for this particular AVS. So there's the current number of operators, the total TVL, and the number of stakers. And just to allude back to the docs that we were seeing, so those are the 2 endpoints that we were leveraging, the AVS metadata endpoints, as well as the AVS metrics endpoints that we are leveraging to pull the data together to power this table, this front-end table explorer, okay? So what does it look like on the code side of things? So we have this get combined AVS data function because we're combining the response from 2 API calls, right? So because I want to be able to see the AVSs ranked by the highest number of operators that's registered with the AVS. So I want to start grabbing the AVS statistics first. So here you can see I'm doing some pagination by doing limit and next URI. So going into the get AVS stats itself, really quite simple. All you do is to pass in the correct URL for this endpoint. So on the other side, I already set up the base URL for EigenLayer API, right? So all I do here is to add the next part, which is specifying that I want the AVS statistics out. And then I'm doing pagination. I want to do 8 rows at a time. Just decided it randomly. I think it looks nicer. And then I want to do sort by. I want to grab the AVSs by the number of operators registered with the AVS in a descending order, right? So that's literally all I do. And then if there is the next page to be paginated, then I just keep reading the next page. Okay, so that's on the get AVS stats endpoint. Very, very similarly on the get AVS metadata endpoints, literally all you do is you pass in the endpoint associated with, like for that particular endpoint, the AVS metadata. And then here, I am filtering by the AVS contract address. So essentially, I first grab the 8 AVSs from this call, right? And then the response from this call will tell me what are the AVS contract addresses that I want to show on the page. So I pass in the list of AVS contract addresses, and then ask the AVS metadata endpoint to return the metadata for me. And then from there, I do some combining and then send it back to the front end for rendering purpose. So let's just see exactly how it's working. So I will clear this, and then we can see from the side. I will just do a refresh so you can kind of see. Maybe? Okay, I think I refreshed twice, too much. Okay, so you can see, indeed, we first called the AVS stats URL a preset. Sorry, we first called the AVS stats endpoint, and then we are doing 8 rows at a time, and then we're doing the we're sorting it by the number of operators in a descending order. And then from there, we call it the AVS metadata endpoint, and then we pass in the contract address that we got from the first endpoints. Yeah, so that's really how you can incorporate it in. You just make sure you get the API key, and then just start calling these endpoint. Okay, I will pause here again to see if there's any questions. Okay, somebody asked how many free credits. So when you register an account on Dune, you get 2,500 credits per month. So you can definitely feel free to start experimenting with it. I will say when you experiment, a lot of these features that we were talking about, the keywords that we were talking about earlier, comes in handy. Let me go to our Dune doc. So if you go to the API reference, you will see specific things about, pagination. So you should definitely do like a limit 3 or 4 or something to make sure you are getting the data you want. And then you can just play around with it. So start leveraging limit as a keyword, start leveraging filter as a keyword to help you just save credits. Because Dune API charge credits based on how many cells essentially you're downloading from Dune. So the more data dump you do at one time, the more credits it costs you. So definitely experiment first. And then you can experiment quite easily. I like Postman a lot, just so I don't have to keep putting back my API key 1,000 times. But if you just want to experiment on our docs page directly, you can create an API key, put it in, and then start directly experimenting here as well. Okay, so somebody asked, are the filters like SQL filters? Yes, exactly like SQL filters. Once you say filter, let's see if I have this example on the other side still. Yeah, we do. So you can see filters. Filters is basically a where statement. You say filter where this AVS column is equal to this, and then you can start doing and, or you can use the keyword in. So it's exactly like the SQL filter. Okay, somebody, I think Victor asked, are the API results real-time where there is a time lag? So yeah, so for this preset API on the EigenLayer itself, they are 15 minutes behind the finalized block time. So it's pretty real time. I guess depends on how real time you're needing from them. So they run on a 15-minute scheduler. So every 15 minutes it will update. And as for the time that it grabs the API results, we saw on the other side, it's just a couple 100 milliseconds. Okay, somebody asked, these smart contract addresses are those of the registry and slashing contract addresses correct? Yes, so somebody asked, what are these smart contract addresses that we are grabbing here, right? Yes, so they are the contract address associated with the operators and associated with the AVSs. Essentially, we're just reading the data that are available on the Ethereum mainnet. Okay, so let me go back to here. Okay, so I think before we end today's workshop, I want to quickly touch upon how do you already utilize the existing data within the Dune ecosystem to help you build cool stuff. So this essentially is relevant if you want to build more, if you need more data beyond what is curated for you in these preset endpoints. So here we've got endpoints for EigenLayer specifically. There's metadata for the AVS, there's metadata for the operators, there's metrics for each of them, and there's the mapping that connects the two. So those are the preset endpoints that we have. But if you have other special things that you want or need, you can start utilizing what other people already built on Dune. So let me do this. Okay, so let's say I want to see what is already out there for the EigenLayer ecosystem. I can just find EigenLayer, and of course, hash is #1 trending here. Okay, so I think we ended up in the same dashboard that we were grabbing earlier. But the point is, if you see any cool dashboard with any cool queries that you want to pull data from, this is how you can do it. Oops, this query is actually private, so let's go with this query that we already pulled data from. So you can start pulling the data from it. It's actually probably better if you fork it and then create your own query. That way, if hash changes the logic, like your own operation doesn't get disrupted. But I just wanted to quickly show you guys there's a lot to be utilized and discovered on Dune.com. People like literally our community just amazes me all the time with the coolest thing. Just the ecosystem moves so fast, right? Like the crypto ecosystem moves so fast in general. It's really hard to keep up as one person. So you can come here and like just see what other people are building and doing, and you can already start leveraging their wisdom as well. Okay, so that was my quick pitch on utilizing the Dune ecosystem. Let me double check the chat again. Okay, cool. All right. And lastly, I always love this crazy cat typing. So I always put this GIF whenever I can. But lastly, happy hacking with the Dune API. As I was saying earlier, really excited to see the most creative usage of Dune API coming through from this hackathon. If you have questions, join our Discord or hit me up on Twitter at @AgapersDay.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jackie. Yeah, fantastic workshop. So brilliant. I think we covered a lot there, and great for anyone trying to kind of dip their toes in and try to explore the space. I think there was a quick question about modeling data through Python. The data that comes from Dune's API. Is that something that is interesting or creative to you?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're using the Dune API, it's absolutely fine, whether you use Python or TypeScript. Well, I don't know. There's so many languages out there nowadays, so you can do really whatever. Actually, if you're using the Python API itself, let me go here. Yeah, we actually have some SDK related to pulling Dune data from the API. So check it out if you're trying to pull data from Dune. I will say that this is more relevant for the SQL endpoints and not necessarily for these preset endpoints that we have on EigenLayer, Forecaster, whatnot. Cool.
Awesome, guys. Please continue putting your questions in the chat. We do have some time left. So this is a great opportunity to ask Jackie any questions, especially if you're thinking of building something. I see a couple questions come in, maybe.
Yes. Will you have a Dune token? Absolutely not. I think we've said this like so many times. No Dune token. Please be careful out there. And then how easy to build? Well, I'm biased. I think it's really easy to build with the Dune API. You literally just call up the URL, start massaging the data however you want. I think the difficult part, like in anything else, is have a great idea on how to utilize these tools at your hand. So excited to see how creative people are. Does this hack also cover Forecaster? That is a great question. I haven't really thought about that. Let me think on that and get back to you, Alexander. because it is a EigenLayer hackathon. Yeah, so let me do some thinking with my teammates and get back to you. Okay, next up, do you have any ideas to spare on what would you build through these APIs? So me personally, if I were hacking in this hackathon, I would really try to extend this Explorer. So maybe EigenLayer Explorer, AVS Explorer, whatnot. So just start doing something really cool. So let me show. I don't know, maybe not. So you know how hopefully there's this Explorer out there called Once Upon GG. And then all they do is like you start your journey somewhere. Let's say I'm like looking up a particular wallet address, and then you go there and you can see like a lot of information associated with them. And then you can just then start hopping and just keep investigating what exactly is linked with these things. So with this UI, I think I will just take this further, honestly, just do more on like the operator side of things and maybe be able to like look into exactly who the stakers are, right? And then from there, I can see, oh, like, what are the quality of my stakers or something like that? How popular are they? Are they on Land, on Farcaster? I don't know. Are they like a whales in terms of like on-chain activities? Are they shrubs? Or like how many connected wallets they have? Or just like lots of things from like a social aspect, the Explorer social aspect. I think there's a lot of utility and a lot of fun can be had from there. Okay, next one. I don't know that Dune is such a great tool. Thank you for saying that. Will there be an AMA during the build time? I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe is that like part of it?
If you want something set up, maybe we can arrange that. Happy to. You
All right.
Yeah, you guys got a call for it, and then we can set that up.
Yeah. Otherwise, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at AgaPersday. I know it's a mouthful. It's on the slide, so hopefully you can go grab it. Okay, API not just for Eigen. So right now, the preset API doesn't include the Eigen yet. Definitely thinking to add that if there is demand for it. Oh,
Amazing.
Maybe you're asking if the API is just for EigenLayer, in case that was your question. I wish I could see you guys, honestly. But in case that's what you were asking, we don't just have EigenLayer APIs. There's also like Farcaster APIs that you can grab data from. And there's the EVM trending contracts API. Let's see, what else is there? You can see the market share of different NFT and DEX. And then we also have like project specific ones that we've propped up. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. So the question is, can you put the EigenLayer API with other API to make project? Absolutely. You can, you can just start calling. Let me go back to one of them. So with example, so let's say you call this particular API for one part of your project, then you call the Farcaster as another part, and then you call operator metrics. I don't know if those three endpoints make sense, but you can definitely like mix and match. I will let you take this, Angela, when bounty announces.
I think we've kind of hinted towards what the bounty for the Dune track might be. So please get creative. We will officially announce everything around the start of the Biddle weeks, so please stay tuned. And there will be a few others as well. But I think, like I said before, make sure that you're absorbing as much as you can from today's workshop and asking all of these questions, which have been great, so that you guys can learn and think about cool things to build. Anything to add, Jackie?
No, just driving home. Creativity, be creative. Really excited to see what comes through.
Brilliant. Cool. I can see a few more people typing. we do still have a little bit more time left, so get your questions in through here. Jackie, I have one for you. What's the most exciting thing about Dune? What gets you really hyped?
Oh wow. We're going philosophical here almost. Yeah, so I think Dune and even just like the crypto space itself, what really gets my heart is the openness and the community. As I was saying, actually, okay, back up a little bit. The way I got in touch with Dune was that I really wanted to get into crypto. So at the time, I was a data scientist, and I was like, hey, let me see how I can get into crypto with my skill set. So I just Googled something related to crypto and data, and then lo and behold, you will end up on a Dune related link. And then I started meeting all these cool people who are building in the crypto data space, and then just really got a lot of help from them. And then together with them, I can also see how the ecosystem has grown over the years, and how far we've come. So it's like everybody's so open and so friendly and so like willing to help you. So what really excites me about the Dune itself is that we have this wonderful community that are building together with you, that are constantly innovating. And like whenever a new thing comes out, be sure like you will see some dashboards related to Dune. So this openness, this community aspect of Dune like really, really excites me.
Cool. I think there's another question that's come in the chat, and then there's also one for me. So while you're reading that, Jackie, I'll have a quick look at this. So
Okay.
Razak, you're asking about forming a team. I think, at least, when we're getting closer to the building period, we will be holding sort of workshop, like a team formation session to kind of help you guys find other team members if you're wanting to work with others. Also, feel free to reach out now, maybe in the chat, or there is a team formation section in the Hacker Pack, so you can go make a post there, and other people can come and get in contact with you. I'm just going to put the Hacker Pack again, the link out there, so that you guys have that. And I feel like I say this over and over again, so go take a look at that. If you have any other questions as well, feel free to DM me on Discord or email. Telegram is also fine. Hope that answers your question, Razak. Cool.
And
a few more coming through.
Sal, can you reword your question? I didn't quite get it. How did Doom become like? Yeah, sorry. Okay, so moving on to the next one while you're retyping. From which contract can I get the return behind the restaking with EigenLayer? Wow, you are asking great questions. I don't think the restaking with the AVS's like yield are really live yet. To my understanding, those are in development and those are not exactly live yet. Somebody on the call, if you know more information on this, put them in the chat, but I don't think you can really see them yet. Oh, okay. So Sal's asking, was Dune first an API product? What products were first? Yeah, no worries. Don't type and drive at the same time. Be safe. Be careful. But yeah, so Dune started with the web app portion actually. So this part that you were seeing, and then about 2 years ago, we launched the API as a product, and then more recently we are coming out with these preset endpoints to really help developers to start building much more easily.
And Sal has just put in the chat, I wasn't driving. So good, good to know. Brilliant. Though I have had other workshops in the past that I've been in or seen where some people were in the car. I don't know, hopefully as passengers, but I think maybe one time someone was indeed driving,
Not good.
but just listening in.
Yeah.
But I guess it shows that dedication and motivation to come and join and listen in. So, well, thank you for tuning in while traveling.
Absolutely.
Cool. Any other questions, everyone? Sorry.
No, I was gonna just respond to Drugo really quickly, because Drugo was saying that like there's a lot to dive deeper into this. I absolutely agree. I mean, I feel like it's so old to say it's a rabbit hole in the crypto space, but honestly, EigenLayer is such a big rabbit hole. There's so many components related to this. And to just wrap your head around the concept is already difficult with, but I think once you start wrapping your head around, it just generates more questions. So absolutely, like with you there, there's too many things, a lot of things to start diving into it. Great question from AJ. Where is best to start if you are new? Two places I would say, the docs and the demo repo. So go to docs.dune.com, and there is a bunch of get started, quick guide, but in particular for this hackathon, you can just go to the API reference and then go to EigenLayer, just start playing around with these endpoints, and start doing it that way. And then if you want to see, how exactly to utilize the APIs, go to this demo repo. Thank you, ChatGPT, who helped me build this. But basically, there's like a live example of how you can incorporate the Dune API easily into a front end like this. Oh yeah, definitely. I as I was kind of alluding to in the workshop, I am no front-end developer, but I was thinking it would be fun to start using the API to build a front-end, like Explorer type of thing. I have some coding experience in the past, so with the proliferation of ChatGPT, I really felt like I was able to do a lot this time.
Yeah, I would also say, ChatGPT is a tool, so if you can use that to help you build something up and get creative, then go for it and try and form something new and fun.
Yeah, I heard, I think I saw it on you somewhere, of the kids nowadays when they learn coding, like the teachers focus more on the conceptual things rather than like the low level details, because the AI is going to be a theme, like it's just going to get better as we go. So I think it's a good thing, like it enables us to be able to like be more productive, to like dream bigger, like realize our like execute our dreams like faster.
For sure. I mean, like so many times when I've spent hours trying to debug something and it's just a semicolon that's missing somewhere, whereas ChatGPT can just do it for you immediately and help you out there. So it's nice to not have to deal with the low level stuff. I say this all as if I do much coding myself, but I don't really. So please no one ask me any questions about it.
Drew is saying that they've been here for 1.5 months, so many things to dive into. Next, I think he's saying say thank you to Andrew, but I feel like Andrew might actually be on this call. So you've got a fan here, Andrew. Okay, Akshata is saying, sorry to probably mispronounce your name. Are there any dashboard around risk for liquidity risk, slashing risk with AVS contract, etc., that might be interesting to build / explore? Slashing is not live yet with EigenLayer, but it might be interesting to do some of these, because people are talking about how it's like Lego building with like rehypothecation as an example, right? Like this is what restaking is doing. There might be some risk. I don't know. I haven't really seen like a restaking risk dashboard per se with EigenLayer, so it might be interesting to do something there. Let me see. Risk-taking risk. Maybe this is a thing. Nothing jumps out yet. So yeah, maybe you could do some data explorer there. Can API collect slashing data when it is released? Yes, yes. Nice.
Awesome. Right. Well, I think the questions are slowing down now. So what I'll do, I mean, we can start to wrap up now. Yeah, I guess thank you so much, Jackie, for coming and speaking and giving that wonderful presentation, that wonderful summary. A great way for, and I said this earlier, a great way for people to just get started and explore what they can build within the EigenLayer space. Yeah, do you have any final words that you'd like to share, or maybe even some top tips for building something or, working with Dune?
Yeah, I guess, first of all, really excited to be here. Thank you for having me on this hackathon and for joining this workshop. And then I guess tips about things. I think just start doing it. Obviously, there is a need to learn conceptual things, but I think one of the best ways to build something, to hack something, is just to start it, and then you will see what are the needed information from there. So I would just say, like, if you are kind of lost or don't know where to get started, maybe just clone the repo and kind of see how I'm putting together the API, the Dune API for this front end, or just get started playing with the Dune API on the Swagger doc that we have directly, and just have fun. I think besides getting started, just start hacking. Another thing is have fun. Don't stress about it. Let your passion and your interest guide you.
Exactly. I probably have a tip as well for everyone in the audience, which is when you are in a hackathon and you're thinking about building a project, the best thing to do is speak to the people providing bounties. Hint, hint. Speak to these wonderful people like Jackie who can give you advice or guide you, or talk about your project ideas, help you conceptualize and find a good way forward. I'm pretty sure that you guys, especially DevRels, want to be involved with developers and want you guys to build on their tech. So get in touch, ask loads of questions, and even ask for help when you're building something. Jackie, are you on Discord?
I tried to join. I am currently having a problem authenticating into that server, but I will resolve that. I will be there.
Yes, we will get Jackie into the server and you'll be able to chat there. Otherwise, I think you mentioned your Twitter is also a good place to reach out, right? Yeah. Amazing. So please go do that. Please reach out, say hi. And yeah, another benefit of getting in touch with those who might be judging your projects later is that they'll already know your project when you go to submit it. That's another top tip of mine. So bear that in mind when you guys are building. We do have a while until the middle weeks, so you guys can get cracking, get learning, have enough time to learn, and then start working on something really cool. So make the most of that. I can see that we've run out of time now. So thank you, Jackie, once again for joining us. It was brilliant. And thank you all in the audience for joining and asking all of these wonderful questions.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Right. Thank you so much, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow for Layer N's workshop. Same time, different link. So please make sure that you come along to that. Right. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.